whisper in the trees. The jungle was alive. Thick vines hung from tall glowing trees. Strange birds with 4 wings sang from above. The air was hot and the ground was wet. Every step made a soft squish. It was a world far from Earth, a planet, called Virelia 3, dangerous, untamed, beautiful. Jake Travers moved carefully. He was a human scout, sent to study this part of the galaxy. Alone. His boots sank into the moss with each step. His helmet showed movement around him, mostly harmless animals. Then he heard it, a sound that didn't belong. It wasn't a growl. It wasn't an animal call. It was soft, broken, like a small voice crying. Faint, but real. Help. Jake froze. He stood still, listening hard. The voice came again, barely louder than the rustling leaves. Help me. He turned off his visor to hear better. His heart beat faster. No human was supposed to be here. And aliens? They didn't cry like that, did they? He gripped his plasma rifle and followed the sound, through thick bushes, over fallen trees. The light grew dimmer as the jungle closed in. He walked for 10 minutes, then stopped. There, by a large glowing mushroom, was a small figure. Jake crouched behind a tree. His visor scanned the creature. Tiny, weak life signs, alien, humanoid shape, less than 4 feet tall, blue skin, thin arms and legs, big golden eyes filled with tears. It was a child, an alien girl. She sat curled up near the glowing mushroom, hugging her knees, shaking. Cuts covered her body. Her skin was dirty. Her long white hair was tangled with leaves. Jake slowly stepped out from behind the tree. He kept his hands open. No weapon. Hey, he said gently. It's okay. I won't hurt you. The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes widened. She tried to crawl back, but there was nowhere to go. Jake stopped a few feet away and knelt down. You're hurt, he said, pointing to her leg. Let me help. She didn't understand his words, but maybe she felt his tone. Her breathing slowed a little. Then he saw something that made his stomach twist. Metal cuffs around her ankles. And not normal cuffs. Alien tech. She had been chained, but one cuff was broken. Had she escaped? Who would do this to a child? Jake looked around. The jungle was quiet again. Too quiet. That's when he noticed the movement in the trees above. Branches shaking, leaves falling. Something was watching them. Jake stood quickly and raised his rifle. The girl screamed softly and covered her ears. A low growl echoed through the air. From the shadows stepped a large creature, at least 7 feet tall. Its skin was dark green, its eyes glowing red. 6 legs carried its bulky body as it moved toward them. Sharp teeth showed in its open mouth. It wasn't here for Jake. It wanted the girl. Jake acted fast. He pulled out a flare from his belt and threw it into the air. A bright red flash exploded, lighting up the jungle. The creature growled, stepped back, then hissed and ran off into the trees. The girl whimpered, shaking harder. Jake turned to her and slowly sat down beside her. You're safe now, he said, though he knew it was only temporary. She stared at him with those big golden eyes. He pulled out his small emergency blanket and wrapped it around her. She flinched at first, but then leaned into it. Her body was cold. She hadn't eaten in days. Jake gave her a small food bar. She sniffed it, unsure, then took a tiny bite. Her eyes widened at the taste, and she took more. How long have you been here? Jake asked softly, more to himself. The jungle rustled again, but this time it was just wind. Jake looked at the girl's ankle again. The metal cuff had symbols on it, alien writing. He snapped a picture with his visor and ran it through the translator. The result came quickly. Subject 47, dispose, not needed, leave in Sector 9. His blood went cold. They didn't just lose her, they left her on purpose. Like trash. Jake clenched his fists. This wasn't just a child lost in the jungle, this was something darker. She had been left to die, and something told him This wasn't over. He stood and looked around. The jungle was dangerous. She wouldn't survive another night alone. He had to take her back. He bent down and gently lifted her into his arms. She was light as air. She didn't fight him. She only whispered something in her alien language and closed her eyes. Jake started walking. Every shadow now felt alive. Every sound was a warning. He didn't know who left her here. He didn't know why, but he knew one thing. He was not going to leave her behind. Not now. Not ever. The predator watches. The jungle was silent, but not dead. Somewhere high in the trees, golden eyes blinked. Not the girls, another pair. Watching, tracking. Jake didn't know he was being hunted. He moved carefully through the thick undergrowth, the tiny alien girl asleep in his arms. Her body was cold, her skin still glowing faintly under the silver emergency blanket. Above them, silent as shadows, claws gripped a branch. It had waited for hours. Now it followed. Jake's boots squished in the wet moss. His mind raced. Who would chain a child and leave her to die? Was she dangerous? A prisoner? A weapon? He didn't know. All he knew was, she had cried, and he had answered. He stopped under a thick tree and lowered the girl gently to the ground. She stirred slightly, but didn't wake. Jake tapped his visor. The translator scanned the jungle around him. No sign of other life. He sighed in relief. We're clear. He was wrong. Just then, snap. A branch cracked. Jake's instincts kicked in. He spun around and raised his rifle. His heart pounded. Out of the shadows leapt a beast. It wasn't like the first one. This one was worse, larger, faster. Its skin black like oil. Its 6 legs slammed against the ground as it charged. Its tongue flicked out, a long snake-like whip. Its breath stank of blood. Jake fired. The first shot hit the ground. The second hit its shoulder, but it didn't stop. The alien girl woke and screamed. The beast lunged. Jake grabbed her and rolled behind a fallen tree. The creature slammed into it, shaking the ground. Jake pulled out his last flare, but this one was blue. He tossed it. The jungle lit up with cold, harsh light. The creature hissed and backed away, but only for a second. Jake wasn't sure the light would work this time. Then he remembered something. Sound. These creatures hunted with sound. Jake grabbed a sound bomb from his belt. Small, disc-shaped, deadly at close range, but perfect for distraction. He set the timer to 5 seconds and threw it behind the creature. Beep, 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 boom. The air shook. Leaves fell, birds scattered. The creature shrieked and vanished into the trees. Gone. For now. Jake didn't waste a second. He scooped the girl back into his arms and started running. No more rest. No more stops. He needed shelter. After 15 minutes, he found a narrow cave covered in vines. It was dark, damp, but safe. He entered, lit a soft torch, and checked the girl again. She was breathing, just barely. Then he saw something glowing faintly under her collarbone, a small triangle mark, pulsing like a heartbeat. It wasn't a tattoo. It was tech embedded in her skin. Jake scanned it. Signal source, locked, species classified, owner, Military Science Division, redacted. He stared in silence. She was part of something bigger, maybe a secret project, maybe a weapon, maybe worse. The girl opened her eyes weakly. Jake smiled gently. You okay? She didn't answer, but she raised a tiny hand and touched his chest. One word, in broken English. Safe. Jake froze. She had learned that word, from him. She trusted him. He exhaled slowly and looked out at the jungle through the vines. Rain started falling. Soft at first, then heavy. Somewhere out there, that creature still hunted. And maybe, so did whoever put that tracker in her body. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was war. He looked down at the girl. I'll protect you, no matter what. But deep inside, a question burned. What exactly had he just promised to protect? And from whom? The hidden camp, the rain whispered secrets. Every drop that fell on Jake's armor felt like a warning. He hadn't slept. Couldn't sleep. Not while holding a child the galaxy had marked for death. Morning came, but the jungle stayed dark under its thick canopy. The little alien girl lay against his chest, wrapped in the thermal blanket, skin faintly glowing in soft pulses. He didn't know her name, but he knew she was important, and someone wanted her erased. Jake moved again. He had to find answers. By noon, his visor picked up a weak energy signal, faint, buried beneath roots and branches, almost like someone didn't want it found. He pushed through the vines and stopped cold. There, half covered by moss and vines, was a ruined alien outpost. A camp. Jake stepped carefully through the entrance, holding his rifle in one hand and the child in the other. The camp looked abandoned but not old. Ash still smoked in a corner fire pit. A chair was knocked over, tools left out. Someone had left in a hurry, or had been forced to. He set the girl down on a sleeping mat and looked around. Strange alien symbols covered the walls, drawn in red, some smudged with handprints. Blood? He scanned one of them. Translation. Unit 47 showed reaction. Emergency lock failed. Unit 47. The girl. Jake's gut twisted. They didn't see her as a person, just an experiment. He checked a nearby console, still running on backup power. He tapped in basic commands. Log entry. Scientist Durrell. Subject shows unstable bioenergy bursts when emotionally triggered. Possible link to dormant planetary tech. Orders received. Terminate and dispose. Jake's hands clenched into fists. They were scared of her, because they didn't understand her, so they chose to destroy her. He turned toward the girl. She was awake now, watching him silently. Her eyes shimmered not just from light but from deep pain. Then, she pointed. To the far corner of the camp. Jake followed her finger. There, behind broken crates and half-crushed lab gear, was a pod, half open. Inside it, alien restraints and broken cuffs, the same ones she had on her legs. So this was where they locked her, where she escaped. Suddenly, a sharp beep blared from his visor. Warning, incoming motion detected. Range 80 meters, fast. Jake grabbed his weapon, lifted the girl into his arms, and dashed into the side chamber of the outpost. He ducked behind a wall just as a mechanical drone flew past the entrance. Silent, sleek, armed. It hovered, scanning the camp, looking for her. Jake covered the girl's mouth gently and held his breath. The drone paused, then moved deeper inside. He slid out the back of the chamber and sprinted through the jungle again, heart pounding. He didn't stop. Until the signal faded, they weren't just looking, they were tracking, and they were close. He reached a rocky ledge overlooking a wide valley, shrouded in fog and vines. In the distance, broken towers stood like ancient bones. A city? Or ruins? He looked at the girl. She was weak again. Her light was flickering. He had to find shelter. And maybe something more. Because Jake had a feeling now. This wasn't just about her. This jungle. These ruins. Her strange energy. They were connected, and whatever she truly was, she wasn't alone. The chase begins. The sky cracked open with thunder, lightning flashed, and for a second, Jake saw movement in the trees. They had found them. He didn't wait. With the alien girl clutched to his chest, he ran. Down the muddy slope into the fog-covered valley. Behind him, mechanical wings buzzed. Red lights blinked through the mist. The hunters were no longer hiding. They wanted her. Now. Hang on. Jake whispered to the girl, his breath ragged. I won't let them take you. She said nothing, but wrapped her small arms around his neck tighter. Her faint glow lit the path ahead, casting long shadows on the twisted roots. A plasma blast struck the ground to his left. Boom! Dirt flew into the air. The chase had begun. Jake zigzagged between trees, ducking under hanging vines. He jumped over a fallen log, nearly slipping. Another blast hit a tree behind him. This time bark exploded. He could hear the machines closing in. Not one, 3 drones now. But it wasn't just machines. He heard voices. Alien voices. Humanoids in black armor, camouflaged with the jungle, moved in fast. He caught a glimpse of their insignia, a red circle with a line through it. Erase. That was their mission. The girl wasn't to be saved. She was to be wiped out. Jake reached a rocky stream and crossed it in 3 quick leaps. He glanced back. 2 of the armored figures were tracking him, weapons raised. He was losing time. Then the girl raised her head and said something, not English. Not a language his translator understood, but her voice rang with strange power. The trees reacted. Leaves curled, vines shifted, roots moved aside as if making space for them. Jake didn't stop to question it. He ran. Within moments, he reached a narrow rock opening hidden behind vines. He slid through it, entering a low tunnel of stone. The drones passed overhead, missing the turn. The girl looked up at him, her golden eyes glowing softly. She was helping him. But how? The tunnel opened into an ancient chamber. Dark, silent, alien symbols covered the walls, different from the lab's symbols. These looked older, sacred. Jake gently set the girl down and turned on his torch. As he moved it across the walls, the symbols glowed back. He touched one, and it pulsed. Then the ground shook. A panel slid open in the wall, revealing a small platform. The girl walked toward it on her own. Slowly, carefully. Jake moved to stop her, but something held him back. She stepped onto the platform. Her body lit up. The triangle on her chest glowed brighter, matching the lights around the chamber. Suddenly, a projection shot up from the walls, a map of the planet. No, more than that. A network of ancient sites, energy lines, marked points, and at the center of it all, her. She was a key, or maybe a lock. Jake stepped closer. "What are you?" The girl turned toward him, eyes filled with sadness. She placed a tiny hand on her chest. "Last," she said. "One." Word, heavy with meaning. Before Jake could ask more, the map vanished, and the wall behind them exploded. The enemy had found them. A drone zipped inside and fired. Jake shielded the girl with his body as the blast hit the floor beside him. They had to move. Now he grabbed her, leaped through the broken wall and rolled into the thick jungle once more. Another shot grazed his arm. He winced, but didn't stop. The trees opened again, as if responding to the girl's fear. Vines pulled down the nearest drone. Roots tripped. The armored soldiers. The jungle was protecting her. Jake realized something chilling. The forest didn't just respond to her energy. It knew her. It remembered, and it was beginning to awaken. Human heart, alien light. The jungle had gone still. Not quiet, still, like it was holding its breath. Jake knelt behind a giant root wall, cradling the alien girl in his arms. Smoke drifted from the broken wall of the ancient chamber behind them. Distant shouts and electric pulses still echoed. They were being hunted. But Jake wasn't afraid anymore. He was angry. He looked down at her. Her eyes were closed, lips pale, light fading. "No, no, no," he whispered. "Stay with me." He ripped open his emergency medkit, but this time it wasn't enough. The alien girl's body was changing. Her pulse light was flickering unevenly like a dying star. Jake scanned her vitals. The results made no sense. Energy core unstable. Internal frequency incompatible with atmosphere. She was burning out. She didn't need medicine, she needed balance. He looked around. Trees twisted in shapes he couldn't explain. Ancient stone pillars stood nearby, covered in the same glowing markings from the camp. He carried her to the center of the broken ruins, where a strange round platform sat beneath a giant tree. It wasn't just a ruin. It was a cradle. He laid her on the stone gently. As soon as her body touched it, the platform glowed, responding to her presence. Jake stepped back. Then the air shimmered. A hologram rose from the roots. A female alien figure, tall, beautiful, sad, not real. A recording. She spoke in an old tongue, but the translator kicked in. To the one who carries the spark, know this. The star-born child is the final seed of our kind, the heart of our world. Beats in her. When cruelty seeks to erase her, kindness shall awaken her. Jake's chest tightened. She wasn't just an experiment. She was the last of something ancient, and he was the one who had answered her cry. He knelt beside her again. Her eyes fluttered open barely. She looked at him, weakly smiled, and whispered, "Warm." Jake took her tiny hand in both of his. "You're not alone anymore." He pulled off his jacket and wrapped her again. Then something incredible happened. Her skin pulsed once, twice. Then a wave of light burst out from her chest and into the roots around them. The jungle responded. Lights moved through the trees. Flowers bloomed instantly. The dead branches twisted into fresh green. Jake could only stare. She wasn't dying. She was awakening. But her glow was drawing attention. In the sky, a large ship began to descend. Black, sharp, with red markings. It hovered above the jungle canopy, its weapons charging. They had found her again, and this time they weren't sending drones. They were coming themselves. Jake looked up, jaw tight. He knew what was coming. He knew what he had to do. He stood up, took the girl gently in his arms and whispered to her, "Whatever you are, whoever you were, you're mine to protect now." She looked at him one last time before her body glowed once more, and whispered in a voice full of strange hope, "You feel like home." And in that moment, Jake understood. She didn't need a lab. She didn't need a cage. She needed a heart. And his was already hers. Enemy in the sky. The sky was no longer blue. It was black. A shadow had swallowed the light above the trees, a massive alien ship shaped like a dagger, humming with power. The wind shifted as it hovered silently, blotting out the sun. Jake knew this was it. No more hiding. No more running. They had come for her. The girl in his arms stirred, her body still glowing with soft energy. Her golden eyes opened halfway, weak, but aware. "They found you," Jake whispered. She nodded once. No fear. Just quiet sadness, as if she had expected it. He set her down gently near the base of the cradle tree, then turned to face the dark sky. His rifle clicked as he loaded. The last energy cell. One charge left. He wasn't ready, but he'd stand anyway because she needed him to. Suddenly, a beam of red light blasted down from the ship, carving a circle into the jungle. Trees burned, roots cracked. Smoke filled the air. Out of the smoke walked 4 armored figures, tall, faceless, inhuman. Jake stepped forward. "This is your last chance," he shouted. "Turn back." The lead soldier raised a hand, signal to fire. Jake fired first. His shot hit one in the chest. The armor sparked, but the figure didn't fall. They returned fire. Jake dived behind a root wall, gasping. Bark exploded around him. Heat flashed over his skin. He was outnumbered, outgunned, but not out of hope, because something had changed. Behind him, the girl stood, alone. Her body lifted an inch off the ground, and her glow was no longer soft. It was blinding. She opened her hands. The air trembled. Energy poured from her body like waves, golden, pure, burning with life. The jungle around them responded. Roots rose from the soil. Vines shot out like whips. The soldiers turned their weapons toward her. Too late. Boom. A shockwave of golden energy erupted from her chest, sending all 4 soldiers flying back through the trees. The earth cracked. The ship above flickered, and then, for the first time, it retreated. It turned and fled. Jake stared, breathless. The girl floated gently back down. Her body dimmed slightly as she landed. She turned to him, eyes wide, glowing, alive. "I remembered," she said softly. Jake stepped closer, hands still shaking. "Remembered what?" She looked up at the sky. "My name." Jake knelt beside her. She whispered it. "Sorry." He smiled. "Beautiful." But before they could speak again, a deep, rumbling voice echoed from the jungle. Not machine, not enemy, something older, something ancient. The jungle had more secrets, and now that Sari was awake, they were coming to her. The jungle remembers. The ground was still glowing. The smoke had cleared, and the jungle was breathing. Jake sat beside Sari, the tiny alien girl who had just lit up the sky. Her golden glow had dimmed now, but her heartbeat was steady. Her eyes held peace mixed with something new, memory. "Are you okay?" Jake asked softly. She nodded. "Yes, I am me again." Before he could reply, the earth rumbled beneath them, deep and slow, like something ancient was awakening. The tree behind her, the cradle tree, began to shift. Its bark peeled back like old skin. Symbols glowed across its trunk. Roots curled inward, revealing a staircase made of glowing vines leading into the earth. Jake stood, rifle ready. "What is that?" Sari didn't answer with words. She walked forward, fearless, calm, and stepped onto the vine staircase. Jake followed her. Down they went, deep into the roots of the jungle where no light touched until they reached it. The heart. A chamber, alive with energy. Floating in the center, a giant sphere of light pulsing slowly like a sleeping star. Around it were carvings, murals of beings, like Sari, tall, glowing, peaceful. They weren't just aliens, they were guardians, caretakers of balance, of nature, of life, and Sari was the last one. Jake turned to her. "This is where you're from?" Sari walked to the sphere. As she touched it, her body lit up once again, but this time it was gentle, peaceful. The chamber responded. Roots moved aside, symbols rearranged, and then a voice echoed, not from the walls, but from within the earth itself. "The starborn child has returned. The jungle remembers." Jake took a slow step back. The jungle wasn't alive by accident. It had a memory, a will, and Sari was its key. She turned to him. "I was meant to be forgotten, left to die. But you remembered me. You heard me cry." Jake's voice cracked. "Anyone would have helped." She shook her head. "No, only someone with a heart like yours could wake this place." Suddenly, a portal formed behind the light. Sphere dotted a doorway, swirling with stars, showing planets Jake didn't recognize. "This isn't over," Sari said. "There are others like me, trapped, hidden, fading." Jake looked at the portal, then at her. "You're leaving?" Sari nodded. "But I want you to come with me." He hesitated. Earth was his home. But then again, so was she. He took her hand, led the way starborn. Together, they stepped into the portal, and behind them the jungle sealed itself. Peaceful, resting again, because the starborn child had been found, and the galaxy would never forget her name again.